Welcome to Between the Covers. Every book you've ever picked up holds more than just words on a page. Behind every published book is a journey, a story before the story. Over the years, working closely with authors through the publishing process, I've witnessed something extraordinary. Behind every manuscript are moments of courage, doubt, persistence, discovery, transformation. The moments readers rarely get to see. Between the Covers exists to bring these stories into the light. Each week invites you into a personal conversation with authors, storytellers, and inspiring voices about what it truly takes to bring a book into the world. From the first spark of an idea to the moment a story reaches a reader's hands, we explore the journey behind the pages. Whether you're a reader wanting to go deeper, a writer searching for encouragement, or simply someone who believes in the power of stories, this show was made for you. Because the book is only the beginning. The real story happens between the covers. Hello, I'm back again. Not sure what happened there, but welcome to another episode of Between the Covers. My name is Daniela Bleckner, author, book journey mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Dreams Publishing. We work with authors from all over the world to help them to get their powerful messages and stories out there in the form of books. On the bookshelf behind me here are just some of the 350 plus books that we've published over the last 11 years now. I'm absolutely passionate about what I do, providing a platform for unseen, unheard authors so they can have their voices heard and stories shared so they can educate, inspire, and empower for generations to come. But today is not your average episode. Today we have not one, but two special guests. I am not going to be hosting today. Sorry, if you don't know anything about this, yes, there was a glitch there. Thank you so much for staying with us, Red Oxtail. If you don't know what this show is about, this show is all about getting up close and personal. Hello, Nasifo. Between the covers of what it takes to write, create, publish, distribute, and promote a perfect book, or just a book that you can enjoy. So, as I said, I am not the person who is interviewing our author today. I'm going to introduce to the stage our interviewee. Her name is Sarah Kittoe, 30 years old. She has submitted our sixth book to us. She's written and published 6 books. She is a philanthropist. I said it right. There you go. An award-winning. In fact, she is Sarah Kittoe BCYA. That's correct. She's a nominee for the Pride of London, a future founder, contributing journalist for the Unsung Hero of Unsung magazine. In fact, did a beautiful piece. Thank you. back again. Thank you for bearing with. Not quite sure what's happening there, so thank you for sticking with us. If you find some value and worth, how can you not? Please do share this out. So I was in the middle of introducing our also amazing 13-year-old, nearly six-time author, Sarah Kittoe. She is a nominee for the Pride of Britain. She's a philanthropist. She's raised money to build refurbished schools in Ghana. All the money from her books goes towards proceeds. She is going to be the interviewer today, so I'm going to step back. I'm going to introduce our awesome and amazing guest, also known as Grandma Wiseau. Her name is Yishebah Baht Gavriel. She is a 3-time author. She's published Clever Chrissie and the Mango Stories, Clever Chrissie and Friend, the colouring book. But today, she's speaking about her book, Compassionate Chrissie and the Magic Melons. A little bit about Yishebah before I let Sarah take over between the covers. Yishebah is a fun-loving grandmother, writer, and storyteller who grew up in Trinidad and draws deeply on the nostalgia of her childhood memories. A former English language tutor at an after-school club, she loves mentoring young students and encouraging their creativity, finding inspiration in reading and guiding their written work. She's the author of 3 books, and I'm going to introduce her to the stage. Please, let's see some fire emojis going up for Yishebah. Hello, Yishebah.
Hi, Danny. Great to be back.
Fantastic. So I'm not going to ask any questions at all. If you're watching, please do throw your questions up. I'm going to actually leave the stage now, and I'm going to let Sarah take over. Take it away.
Well, hi, Yishebah.
Hi, Sarah.
It's lovely to see you again. As long I know, new book, Compassionate Chrissie and the Magic Melons. So glad to see finally a hard copy of this. So how does this book make you feel right now?
I feel a sense of exhilaration, relief, excitement that it's finished, a sense of satisfaction, and even awe in terms of the process and all the people who have been involved. It felt like a project. So even though I feel personally proud, I feel that so many other people have got the reason to share and to feel also celebrated by this book. And I hope they're having a piece of melon as they listen.
And is and what inspired? Well, I know what inspired you, but what inspired you to write Compassionate Chrissie and the Magic Melons?
Well, the thing is, this book, had I written the book I originally intended to write, it would not have been so creative and so fantastical and so fictionalized, because what inspired me to write the book was one multi-talented lady who has founded a business called A to Z Creations. Now, that's Yishebah Kittoe, who I know is your mother. And in 2022, I bought a service from her after we met at the Croydon Supplementary Education. No, after we met at the Croydon Council International Black Book Affair. And she then went away, and at my birthday on 2022, she did an amazing creation of her carvings on a platter. It was so magnificent. I was in absolute awe, and I thought I am going to write a book about her. So it was just meant to be like a picture book, biography about promoting her craft. And then I thought, no, because my imagination goes places. I said the best way to treat this is to fictionalize her character and then write the story. And that's what the inspiration is from. Yishebah Kittoe is responsible for this book, period.
This is amazing. And what was your favorite part about writing this story?
My favorite part about writing the book is, for me, it was like the whole evolutionary process, because I didn't sit down and say, okay, I'm going to be doing this next and this next and this next. I allowed my creativity and my desire to tell the story of this incredible, she calls herself a melon carver. I think she's a fruit sculptor. And everything it is the way in which my mind works and my writing, as everything evolved and emerged. It was like a mystery and an exploration of creating a character. So I enjoyed the whole process of how the story evolved and how it tapped into my creative writing love and skill and craft.
That is amazing. And which character, out of all the characters, which character do you like the most?
Oh, now you're going to get me in some problems. Um, I would say that mm, the character, first of all, the character I love the most is Madame Ngozi. And the reason why I love her is because she started out in an experience from childhood. She was from a different continent, and the way in which she connected with the other character, Madame Verestein, I think for me, she spoke to more of the character. In fact, I wanted to make her the main character of the one who would show compassion, but I suppose we'll come to that later. But Madame Ngozi is my favorite character.
And what is your favorite scene in the book?
My favorite scene in the book, I would say, is in terms of favorite, I would say is the plane scene. And, and there's a reason why the plane scene is my favorite. It's because that scene allowed me to show the reader and to demonstrate, and the way in which Bryony Dick has so vividly portray that scene based on what I wrote and described. And that allowed me to bring to the fore an element of the character and a bit of the cultural group dynamic of Trinidadians, and also how that pitted against the English people in the train. Because when you in the plane, when you have two cultures in a confined space, that's when you see the best and perhaps the worst of them. So for me, I think the plane scene, which I'll be reading a clip of, is my favorite, I would say.
And talking about reading your book, how about you read a short part of your book for us, just to get a feel of what this book we're talking about is?
Okay, so I'll first read a little bit about Chrissy back home, and then a little bit on the plane. How about that?
Okay, perfect.
Yes. Okay, so here we go. One lazy evening, while lying on the soft savanna grass, not far from under the rose mango tree, Chrissy was again lost in a fantasy world of international travels. She imagined soaring around the world and visiting far-off places. Some of the heroes and the heroines and adventurers she idolized in those books. The cool evening breeze brushed against her face and her sleeveless arms. She closed her eyes and traveled to strange and distant new worlds, correcting injustices and defeating evil ones, just like her fabled superheroes. Chrissy teleported herself to these places. She had no experience of actual plane travel. On this particular occasion, she snuggled under her favorite spot on the carpeted savanna grass under the rose mango tree. There she was, in one of her best Chrissy moments. She imagined herself racing through the black forest with the giant trees, rescuing Hansel and Gretel, and meting out justice to the wicked tormentor in the candy cottage. Eyes closed, she listened to the birds tweeting in the trees and to the leaves rustling in the breeze. Some birds hopped from branch to branch, pecking at the ripe mangoes. The last line, as she was lost in her wonder world, there was a sudden noise. Boop, 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 boodoo, boodoo. Find out what that song was about. And then I'll go to my other favorite section, which is on the plane. Okay. And this is the one is the landing. This is the chapter, the landing. And this is the portion I wish to share. Here we go. The conversation was interrupted by the captain, who with his cheerful English voice again, ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. The turbulence had ended, and the crew will now serve the afternoon meal. Now I'll go to the section that I love. By the time Mom Tina was bursting to go to be relieved of her bladder, she wanted to have a pee before consuming the food and drink. She shook Chrissy awake to take her to the toilet, but was too scared and too unsure of which direction the toilet was. Raising her hand like a schoolgirl in a classroom, she called to one of the hostesses who escorted her. Chrissy went first, and the hostess stayed with her. This is the part I want to share. I want you to get about the dynamics. Okay. Tina's embarrassment was about to blow up. As she emerged from the cubicle, there were longish queue outside the toilet door behind Chrissy, with the hostess standing immediately behind the door. Some of the passengers in the queue wiggled with urgency, and the English passengers were a bit evasive and polite. But the few Trinidadians who were less restrained, their faces clearly annoyed and impatient, as they muttered to one another. If you want to find out what they were saying to each other, you would have to get a copy of the book.
Yes, yes, yes. And we are all excited to say what were they speaking about and what was that loud noise.
That's
Okay,
right.
let's think more. And why did you choose England and Trinidad mainly as these two cultures and settings for the book?
Thank you. That's a very good question. The thing is, as I say, of course, I was born in Trinidad. I lived there until I was in my mid-20s. When I left Trinidad, I lived in Venezuela for a year. Then I spent almost a year in Italy, and I have spent most of my life in England. So the two cultures that I know the most, that I have lived and experienced, in terms of their richness, in terms of their contradictions, and in terms of the people and how they manifest this culture, are England and Trinidad. So it was natural that I would have been able to create a narrative that's credible, that's sustainable, that flows by linking these two countries, because these are the two countries that I've actually literally lived in, but not just lived in, but I have studied and understand the culture, the contradictions, and all the complexities of both cultures in terms of behavior, attitudes, and values.
Yeah, that's a really good. And um, what do you hope young people will learn from Chrissy's adventures?
The the main, apart from, for young people, apart from um, them to see that it's possible to bring their essay, to bring journaling, to bring scribblings, and how it is you begin to evolve from writer, from essayist, from school essays to a writer, for them to see the process that can happen for them. But also the reason why the reason why I really wanted to give the message, it's things like empathy, thoughtfulness, the intergenerational relationship between children, parents, and grandparents, and also to be able to have, I know even young people, they may be the victims or the recipients of unkindness from adults who are unhealed, but from my psychology background and my former mental health years of working, I felt that if young people were to also see older people as sometimes hurting, as sometimes unhealed, as sometimes their behaviors would not necessarily reflect evil, but that they too have, hurts and healing needs, then they would be able to, it will be able to help them to manage some of the adult intergenerational relationship that they experience as children, but most not so much children, because children very young may just see themselves as subject to the victim or the power relationship. But for older children like mid-grade and teens, for them to get a sense of adults are also people who hurt, and they hurt people as well. But
Mm.
kindness could help to heal them and could help them to deal with their hurts. if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And do you think you can give us a hint on where you're thinking Chrissy's next adventure might be?
Absolutely. Chrissy, so Chrissy started out in Trinidad.
Yeah.
She has come and spent time with her lovely auntie Ngozi in England, in an a quaint English village. Where else do you think Chrissy is going to go? She is going to Zululand, KwaZululand, South Africa. That's where next I want Chrissy to visit.
That's amazing. And I can't wait to see it. Um,
The idea of the okay, yeah.
yeah. So as they said, why did you choose collaborate with me as such a young author and person and author on the Mr. Olsen character?
Yes, before I go there, the question you asked me before, um, in terms of some of the the areas that I love of the book, one of the elements is how pen pal in that age, you maintain close relationship, especially distant relationship through pen pals, and apart from the fact that even though in the story I wrote about this beautiful letter, which was created by little Tina to her friend Ngozi when she returned to South Africa, I think that the letter, I would like to read the letter actually, because it also shows how friendship, separation, and distance can really cause pain, and it can cause longing, insecurity. And one of the ways in which letter writing could be therapeutic, not only in terms of sending a letter to someone, but just by writing how you feel, could also help. And one of the things that Tina's mother asked her to do was to write a letter to her friend Ngozi when she went back to South Africa. So
Yeah.
definitely letter writing, and that letter is beautiful. I'd probably like to read it at the end, if that's okay, Sarah.
Okay, yeah, at the very end.
Yeah, so what was the question you asked me?
And then the second question that's over there is, why did you choose to collaborate with me as such a young person and author on the Mr. Olsen character?
Oh, it was a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned, because don't forget, I'm writing this story as I've fictionalized your mother in a practical area of her amazing craft that I felt that the world needed to find out about. But also, when I had developed the Mr. Olsen character, who is a real character from my childhood, and when I was framing him within the scene and the plot, I consulted with your mother and I asked her, so we've got this character, he's miserable. The local children, even the local English children, were scared of him. They used to tease him, run away from him. And of course, when Chrissy arrived and the twins and Auntie Ngozi's twins, who are of course visibly African children in this little village, I was wondering, okay, how do I make this character credible to readers? But in my head, I was thinking of readers, period, especially adult readers. And I had felt that the best way to show, because I wanted to show Auntie Ngozi as the main kind person to bring him around.
Yeah.
But in doing so, I really did give him a beating. I gave him the character not only in terms of his personality and in terms of his temperament and his behavior,
Yeah.
but I felt that if I didn't include a dynamic of his bigotry, of his racial slurs and comments about the children, I was thinking as an adult that he would not be credible as a character to adult readers. So I said, let me consult with your mother, because one, you are a multi-published author. You are my author senior. You've created characters. You've written, well, at the time, 4 or 5 books. They're successful. I reviewed all of them, and I've seen the way in which you have developed the character. And even though you haven't avoided like tensions and contradictions, like in the book with the girl who wanted to be the princess who wanted to be a footballer, you didn't like avoid, the tensions and the difficult relationship, but it always ended, in a very positive way. So I said, let me speak to your mother and see whether she would be able to get you to help me. And then she said, I think, yes, it's a good idea to speak to Sarah. So then she called you from upstairs, called you down, and I was able to ask you, okay, how do you think should I do next with this miserable, grumpy character? At the time, I was saying he was a bit racially prejudiced. That was my thoughts. And then you came down, and it was so amazing what you said, because first of all, you said, we need to think about why he's miserable. We need to think about what we can do to help him, and why he may be unkind. And the first thing you said, why don't we have a volunteer day? And he also said that maybe even his melons, because we talked about he's a melon and pumpkin farmer, and he was saying that maybe his melons are not as big and juicy because of his energy. You said, his attitude and his energy may be causing his melon to get smaller. Of course, he's been more miserable because people are not buying the melons. And the way in which you went from this character I had in my head, which ultimately kindness and compassion would have prevailed in the end, because I was saying that Madame Ngozi is the one who would come and show him kindness. But let me share something that made me laugh. When I finally wrote the story, even though it didn't come out, and I get your mother and yourself to read it, what she said if the character in the book was as had made those like prejudicial remarks or racist remarks, she said she would not have given any melon in the end. Was absolutely-
Oh,
she would not have given any melon in the end. So you're bringing you into the scene. That particular scene was very, very critical to how it turned out, because one, you reminded me that it's a the age group that the target is a mid-grade reader. This is a book for children, like teens. And the language had to be first of all, the language had to be a certain way in order to engage them. And also the issues have to be a way in which they would be able to embrace it and to learn from it. So I'm thinking, without you, with that particular character I have created, you have almost come in as the second mother and helped to shape the character and give him the personality and the profile and the projection that would make him more acceptable to readers, but also not only like school readers, but also readers of his ethnicity, because he has a Norwegian heritage. And I do plan to go to Norway. I want to contact the Norwegian embassy and to promote the book. And I'm thinking, if we had made him any more racially prejudiced, or any more grumpy beyond his personality or unpleasant, I think ethnically it would have been a difficult character for everybody to see a humanity, for to
yeah.
see elements of them in him, because I mean he had lost his wife for ages. He had ostracized himself from the church, so he was a hurting, emotional and spiritual person. So if I had given him what I thought would have been a credible um, cultural, or like small political with a small p profile, then I think it would have been a different book. And as one of the main characters, I think not as well received, the way in which those issues are so sensitive.
And yes, as Anis has said, I have a game for you. We're gonna play quick fire round of this or that. Basically, would you rather? Okay.
Okay.
So ready?
Yes, already.
So this or that, mangoes or melons, like watermelons.
Mangoes with watermelon juice afterwards. Mangoes.
Okay, so mangoes. Reading or writing?
Oh my gosh. Writing, because while I'm writing, I can read. Yeah, I writing.
Beach or countryside?
Mm. Oh, that's a hard one. Uh, Countryside.
Summer or winter?
Come on.
Adventure story or mystery story?
Ooh. I would say adventure.
Dogs or cats?
Cats. If I have to choose, I'll choose a cat instead of dog.
Trinidad or England?
Trinidad, of course.
Pencil or computer?
Pencil.
Sweet treats or savory snacks?
Um, let's see. I would say I don't like sweet stuff like if cakes or anything too sweet. I would say savory because yeah, even cakes and stuff, my daughter know that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say savory if I had to go for.
Okay.
Mm.
Early bird or night owl?
No.
Library or bookshop?
Library.
And create a new character or bring back an old one?
Create a new character.
Now we're going to play complete the sentence. Well, I'm going to give you a sentence and you have to complete it with whatever, like the first thing that comes to your mind. Ready?
Okay.
The best thing about being an author is
Is the book getting in the hand of the reader that I've targeted?
a great story always needs
A positive ending.
if I could have any superpower, it would be
Teleportation.
reading helps us
To consolidate and to enrich our cognitive and our vocabulary skills.
My favorite place to write is
Sorry, repeat that.
my favorite place to write is
My favorite place to write is in my bedroom.
the character who surprised me most was
In the story,
yes.
the character who surprised me most was Mr. Olsen.
I hope the reader feels
Reassured.
when they finish my book.
Yeah.
Where my next story might include
Say that again.
my next story might include
My next story might include my character having a superpower.
never stop.
Never stop thinking, reflecting, and writing.
One thing people might be surprised to learn about me is
That I love my own company.
it was great having you, Yishebah, Auntie Yishebah. It was amazing to have you here and for you to answer some of my questions. So thank you.
I really enjoy the quick fire questions. Thank you.
Can I say it was absolutely amazing to watch, just be backstage and just see both of you vibe and the conversation. Sarah, you did amazingly well with the questions. Do you want to host my next show? I mean, maybe you can come back for all of them now. I need to retire. And Yishebah, it was fantastic hearing your answers. What I love about your book is how you've created like a multi-layer character, which you were talking about. You know, I think someone was asking why is he so grumpy, and I love that you kind of delve beneath that. Why are people the way they are? And you've used Compassionate Chrissie as another tool for learning. And you know, I love the collaboration and the way Sarah's advised and how it's come about with this beautiful book. What are your plans next with this, Yishebah? My final question.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to commend Sarah greatly and to thank her, as Sarah could be my granddaughter, and for her to have come through and totally reshape such a pivotal character. I really commend her, and I give what we call I give honor to you for what you have contributed and how you, and I look forward to greater. I've got another collaboration which I'll mention to Danny. But definitely, it's an honor to know you and to work with you. And like I said, you are my author senior.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. So, well, there's no show next week, so hopefully I'll be back in a few weeks with another author. Thank you so much for joining us on Between the Covers. Thanks again, Yishebah, and thank you to Sarah. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Bye.